morning, Court of Appeals.
Good morning. I have my six-digit case number.
Okay, just a moment. Okay, and what is that?
It's 53282-4.
Okay.
And I'd like to speak with the case manager, Debbie.
Okay, just one moment.
Thank you. I wonder if they're just going to leave us on hold indefinitely.
You sure they didn't drop the call?
Let me check. Actually, I think they did drop the call.
All right.
I think you're right, because usually I can, every other time I can drop, it shows me who's there and I can remove other people.
Right.
We must have been disconnected. What a coincidence.
Shocking.
Okay. This is getting better and better. Okay, let me call right back.
Court of Appeals. If you know your six-digit case number, please press 1 now.
Good morning, Court of Appeals.
Hi, my name is Joe Thomas, and I have my client Brian Green on the phone, and I'm calling about case number 53282-4. And I called a few minutes ago, and I was being transferred over to Debbie, and we must have got disconnected somehow.
Oh, yes, we're filling in on the phones today. So I'm going to have to transfer you to the clerk's voicemail. He is not in today, so you can leave him a message.
I can't talk to Debbie?
She said that you would need to talk to the clerk.
Because, I'd like to speak to Debbie.
She said that you can talk to the clerk on this case. And he should be in tomorrow.
Is Debbie still the case manager of this case?
She is.
Then I'd like to speak with Debbie.
Okay, well, she said that you can talk to the clerk on this.
Then Debbie can tell me that.
Okay, well, I'll transfer you to the clerk. Just one moment.
No, I'd like to speak with Debbie.
Okay, well,
because
she's not...
Clerk is this is an issue. This is a time-sensitive issue, and Debbie's the case manager, and I would like to speak with Debbie about this.
Okay, let me get you to the clerk. Just one moment.
Your call has been answered by a VIA IP office. Extension 268. If not a...
Okay, so what do you want to do? I mean, that was the same number they transferred me to yesterday, where it's a nondescript number, where it just says the extension 268.
Yeah, I don't know. Is there a more direct way to contact them?
Not that I know of.
I don't know. Obviously, she's not gonna speak to you. So she's gonna try to pass it off to whoever this person is. Maybe you should call back and see if you can get the direct line to this guy, because you're getting some sort of a weird answering thing when you call. Maybe you can get his direct extension or something.
So Chris wanted to file a complaint yesterday. Should we file a complaint? Because she's the case manager and she won't even talk to us.
Absolutely.
And so maybe we should call back and find out what his direct number is and how to file a complaint.
Sounds like a good idea.
Okay, let me call back then. Can you
Okay.
stay on the line?
You bet.
Okay.
If you know your six-digit case number, Your call is very important to us. Please hold and someone will be with you shortly.
What they have caller ID?
Good morning, Court of Appeals.
Hi, my name is Joe Thomas, and I have my client Brian Green on the phone with me. I'm calling. I just called a minute ago, and I'm calling about case number 53282-4. And
Yes.
I have two questions.
Okay.
First of all, I'd like to find out how to make a complaint about an employee. A formal complaint.
Again, you can talk to the clerk about this.
You don't know the procedure to make a formal complaint?
You would have to talk to the clerk.
Well, the clerk's out right now. Doesn't somebody else cover the office?
He'll be in tomorrow. You can leave him a message.
Doesn't anybody else cover the office when the clerk's out of the office? There's no supervision today?
You can talk to the clerk. You know what? You can ask the clerk all those questions when he returns your call.
Okay, could you give me the direct line to the clerk?
I can give you, since he's out, I can give you his voicemail.
Well, I'm not even sure that I'm being transferred to the right place right now. So okay. I would like the direct line so that I could call it myself.
This would be the call. This would be the phone number you would call for the clerk.
You're telling me that he does not have a direct line.
You would call here and we would transfer you.
No. My question is, and please answer my question because I'm trying to work with you. Does the clerk have a direct line or not?
I don't know. I know that people call this line and we transfer.
Is there anybody who I could speak to that would know if he has a direct line?
Again, you can ask the clerk when he returns your call, and he can give you his direct line.
But see, my problem is I don't even know if the clerk's going to give me a call because I don't even know if I'm being transferred to the right voicemail right now because I can't even speak to Debbie. Debbie won't even speak to me. You're being evasive, and you won't even tell me if the procedure on how to file a complaint about somebody. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
I'm telling you, the clerk can answer that question.
I know, but
that's my answer.
My response is that I don't even think I'm going to get through to the clerk, and I think this is going to be buried or deleted.
He will be in tomorrow. I do know that. And I'm filling in on phones today, so I don't know all the answers to your questions.
And what's your name?
My name is Cheryl.
Okay. And what's your normal position, Cheryl?
I'm a case manager.
Okay. Well, thank you, Cheryl. I'll call back then tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Bye. Who's the case manager? Do you need the appeal number so that we know what we're talking about?
I believe that's 532-824.
Yes, sir.
Correct. I know that you have a couple of other cases that are in a similar vein of this case, if I remember right.
Right. So just what happened with this case was that the petitioners, Lewis County, appealed. And a few days after Lewis County appealed, my clients decided to cross-appeal. And so I think Lewis County filed their appeal on April 27th or April 29th, someday towards the end of April, and we filed our cross-appeal with the Thurston County Superior Court on May 1st. On May 7th, a notice of perfection was sent out by the case manager, Debbie, and she stated, and it appears just to state that Lewis County perfected their appeal. And like all notices, it gives the dates for when things should happen. And since Lewis County right now is dismissing their appeal, I called down to find out if our cross appeal had been processed. And I spoke with Debbie both on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. And Debbie told me that she hasn't processed. Well, first of all, apparently she didn't receive the notice of the cross appeal from the Thurston County Superior Court. So I called down to the Thurston County Superior Court. They resent it, and I made sure that Debbie had a copy of it. And then when Debbie had a copy of it, she said that she was refusing to process the paperwork until the motion to dismiss went through. And I told her that they were unrelated and that our perfection of the appeal had nothing to do with the motion to dismiss, and Debbie still refused. And I told her this was going to prejudice my clients because the court's not aware that there's even a cross appeal going on right now, or that it's perfected, because the proper paperwork isn't being processed by Debbie. And so she told me to talk to you. She refuses to talk to me anymore.
Yes, I understand that she refuses to speak to you, and she's actually under my orders to anytime a client or a patron of our court is disrespectful, they now have to work directly with me. I won't let anybody mistreat my case managers, and you, sir, have done so not once but twice.
Can you explain to me how I've been disrespectful?
You'll notice. Now, with that behind us, we can move forward on addressing your issues with this case. So,
can you explain to me how I've been disrespectful?
Well, you're trying to tell them what to do, and they have to follow the rules of appellate procedure, and they have a motion that they received in the meantime for this case that was a notice of appeal. So I'll get to the cross appeal in just a moment. So initially the case was filed as a notice of appeal, and then you filed, from what I understand, you filed a cross appeal on the 1st of May. We never received anything from Thurston County until 20 days later on the afternoon of 5/21. But in the meantime, on this initial appeal, there was a voluntary motion to dismiss by the appellants. So we had a motion pending before the court. That motion went to the commissioner, and the commissioner is ruling on that motion. And my understanding from the motion that will be sent out today is that the initial appeal will be dismissed, and the cross appeal will take its place under this case number.
Oh, okay.
And so does that address your issues? When there's a motion pending in a case, even though, and we haven't received anything related to the cross appeal at that time, we have to move forward with the motion that we have before us. That motion has now been heard and reviewed by the commissioner, and that ruling will be sent out today.
Okay, I understand that, and I appreciate that, but you said that your office was working in accordance with the rules of appellate procedure. Debbie hasn't told me any rules of appellate procedure that told me that it had to happen this way. I'm not aware of any rules of appellate procedure that says it has to happen this way, and I haven't heard you tell me any rules of appellate procedure that says it has to happen this way. So can you please explain to me where in the rules of appellate procedure it says that the notice of perfection must wait until a motion to dismiss is heard?
Well, whenever we receive, so when the perfection letter went out, so the perfection letter went out on the 7th, explains what's going to happen in the case. Then the appellants filed a voluntary motion to dismiss on the 13th. And so with that, we send out a letter giving you 10 days to respond to that voluntary motion to dismiss.
Right, but you're telling me the rules of appellate procedure, and you said I'm not following the rules of appellate procedure, and I'm being disrespectful by that. So I'm concerned, because you said this is the second time that I'm being disrespectful by not following the rules of appellate procedure. So I'm asking you to explain to me where in the rules of appellate procedure am I not following?
Well, you're calling in, and it wasn't Debbie that you called in. The second time you berated the person who is the receptionist because she had the gall to tell you no. And
so how did I berate her? What did I say to berate her? Because you're starting to use words right now that are concerning me, because that's not what happened. Brian Green was on the phone yesterday as a witness.
That is correct.
all I can tell you is that both of them felt like they were being bullied, and that it's not that they are not willing to assist. They gave you the options that you had before them, but those weren't the options that you wanted. So you kept bullying them.
Oh, so I'd like to ask you, first of all, what did I say to berate them? And then second of all, what rules of appellate procedure have I been breaking?
Well,
please give me specifics, because you're accusing me of things right now, and I'd like to know exactly what I'm being accused of.
I think I've already been clear, is that when we receive a motion, the rules of appellate procedure, you're asking our case managers to not consider a motion that came in correctly and to supersede that motion that is active to substitute your case in this matter, to substitute the cross appeal in this matter. And so what they did was follow the rules that we sent out the perfection letter. There was a motion for voluntary dismissal. They followed that through sending it to the commissioner, and you wanted them to withdraw, just go ahead and not dismiss this case and start the cross appeal when it was the same matter. And so we have to follow through with the motions that are open before we can pull in a cross appeal that we hadn't received yet.
Okay, Mr. Byrne, I'm asking you for like a fourth or fifth time, what specific rules of appellate procedure am I breaking? Because you're telling me that I'm breaking rules of appellate procedure, and it sounds like that you're equivocating that with me not following your staff's direction.
Even if I were to pull out the rules, I don't think that you would listen to me. I think what you're trying to I've explained, here's how we follow things through, and just because you don't like the way things are going, I mean, we're following the path of the motions that come in, and then, I mean, at this point, when the ruling from the commissioner comes out today, aren't we where you want to be anyway?
Mr. Byrne, you're accusing me of being disrespectful with your staff, and it sounds like that they're unfounded allegations right now, because I'm repeatedly asking you to give me a court rule, and you can't even give me a court rule, which is fine. You can't give me specifics of what I said that was disrespectful, and third of all, you're getting the facts wrong of what happened. My paperwork was in before Debbie processed the notice of perfection, and so she should have included that in her notice of perfection. So right now it sounds like that she's willfully giving the court a wrong idea of what happened, because my paperwork was in with the Thurston County Superior Court. Thurston County Superior Court doesn't dispute that, and they even try to make it right this week by sending in the paperwork again. And the only people who are not trying to make the situation right for what seems to be an innocent mistake is your staff. And right now, when I try to correct it with your staff, you're telling me that I'm breaking the rules of appellate procedure and that I'm being disrespectful with your staff when they have to file the paperwork.
See, here's where you're not getting understanding. So, yes, you filed the cross appeal on May 1st, which we have no knowledge of until we receive it from the county. We received that cross appeal. It's in the action date was May 1st. We see that, but we did not receive it here at our court until the 21st of May. So we had no knowledge of it until the 21st, and that had already gone forward to the commissioner. The voluntary motion to dismiss had already gone forward to the commissioner. We have to wait until any open motions are resolved before we can even begin to work on this cross appeal, despite the fact that it was in fact filed on May 1st.
Okay, so Mr. Byrne, here's another problem I have. Nobody can tell me what rules I'm breaking. It just sounds like that your office doesn't like what I'm asking, which is fine. So I called in yesterday with Mr. Green, and I asked to file a formal complaint about this situation. Mm-hmm. And I think I spoke with Cheryl yesterday. She's a case manager. And she told me that she couldn't tell me how to file a formal complaint.
Well, the formal complaint failed.
No. So I asked if there was anybody in the office yesterday who could tell me how to file a formal complaint, because the commissioner would be ruling on this, and this was a time-sensitive situation. And I wanted to try to correct it as soon as possible to protect my client's rights. And she told me there was nobody in the office who could tell me how to file a formal complaint until you came back in the office. And I have a big problem with that, because it looks like that your office is trying to obstruct my client's access to the Court of Appeals.
No, as far as I recall from my discussion with Cheryl, she gave you my telephone number to leave a voice message so that the complaint could be duly lodged.
Oh, she said that she gave me your direct number?
Pardon me?
Did she give you...
So she would have transferred your call to my phone so that you could leave that message and complaint.
She did do that, but I told Cheryl that I was given to a nondescript voicemail. It didn't say, this is Mr. Burns' voicemail, please leave a message, or this is the clerk of the court for the Division 2, please leave a message. It just said, this is extension 268 or something like that. Leave a message. And I didn't know whose voicemail I was being directed to, and even if I was being directed to the right place, because it felt like that whoever I talked to, they were just obstructing whatever I was trying to ask. And they weren't trying to serve. They weren't trying to serve me. They were trying to serve their own self-interest.
I'm sorry that you feel that way. They did send you to my telephone so that you could leave and lodge a complaint. And if you'd like to do so now, please continue.
So what's the purpose behind nobody could tell me what the procedure is to file a formal complaint? Why wouldn't your staff give out that information? Because that's concerning too. That I can't create a written record about what happened, that I have to leave a voicemail. Almost every other office I know has some sort of form that you can fill out, or some sort of procedure.
Well, this is, I'm fairly new here, and this is the first time I've ever had anyone request a formal complaint. So let me look and see. I mean, I've always handled complaints directly with our patrons so that they could feel reassured that something would be done.
And I don't feel reassured, because when I called to complain, you told me this morning that I was being disrespectful and that I wasn't following the rules of appellate procedure. You haven't been able to identify specifically what I did that was disrespectful, other than advocating for my clients like I'm required to do. And second of all, you haven't identified a single rule of appellate procedure that I didn't follow.
I could go through it again, but I don't think you'll.
Please go through it again, and please find the specific rule of appellate procedure that I didn't follow, and please identify the specific instance where I was disrespectful.
So, let's go to the rules then.
Yes, please do.
So the rules that govern motions are in Title 17 of the RAP rules. And so when a motion is received, we act upon that motion. And that's what we've been doing in this process, is acting upon the rules of Appellate Procedure 17. You were asking the case manager in this case to circumvent that process to allow for the cross appeal to be filed without a decision on this motion, which was in the process of being decided.
It sounds like instead of me putting my information in front of the judge in order for the judge to make a decision, it sounds like that your staff is playing the judge and making those decisions for the judge, which is completely improper. Because you're right, they decide the motion, but like I said before, the cross appeal has nothing to do. It's its own appeal, as you know, and it has nothing to do with the other appeal being dismissed. And it sounds like your staff is playing judge right now, which is improper. And I'm concerned about that.
Well, I can assure you that they were simply following the rules of RAP 17.
Okay, so where in RAP 17 does it say that you have to stay a notice of perfection in order for the motion to dismiss to be denied? Like, I don't see that anywhere in there. I don't see where anything else is stayed for a motion to dismiss in RAP 17. Do you?
Nothing was stayed. It was just a motion that came in after the perfection letter went out on the case to voluntarily dismiss the case.
Right, the perfection was being stayed. Nothing was happening to it until the motion to dismiss. That's what Debbie told me on the phone. And so where does that in RAP 17 that anything else is stayed, especially paperwork by the clerk, is stayed upon a motion or a motion to dismiss? Because you're telling me I violated the rules, so please tell me where in the rules I violated.
No, I think you misunderstand. The perfection is not stayed because a motion comes in. However, when a motion does come in within the perfection schedule period, we address those motions so that they can be taken care of before the dates can be adjusted as needed based upon the motion.
Okay, Mr. Byrne, that's improper. That's nowhere in the rules. And if we have a problem again, we'll have to take it to court and let the court decide. Do you understand? I'm not threatening you. You have a specific duty under the law, and your staff has a specific duty under the law, and your staff abdicated that duty. And then you accused me of violating the court rules, and you can't point to a specific court rule that says your staff can hold off on writing a letter of perfection while a motion to dismiss is pending. I've given you every opportunity in the world this morning.
To do what? I've kind of been clear. There's nothing unequivocal about what I've said to you about what's going on. I mean,
you don't have. There's nothing in the RAP, and you haven't pointed at anything in the rules of appellate procedure that allow your staff to say, okay, we're going to hold off on a letter of perfection, which allows my clients to start their appeal. They're right to start their appeal in Washington, while Lewis County is seeking a voluntary dismissal of its own separate appeal.
I think we're talking past each other, and what I mean is there was already a perfection letter filed in the case, and that was filed on the 7th. We had not received any information regarding the cross appeal. It went forward to the commissioner for a decision on the voluntary motion to dismiss. Before your cross appeal came in, Debbie notified the commissioner regarding this cross appeal, and the commissioner makes note of it in his ruling to dismiss the original case and substitute the cross appeal.
So how can Debbie notify the commissioner of a cross appeal when the cross appeal hasn't been perfected yet?
Because we receive a notice on the same case, despite the fact now it's a cross appeal that has been filed, so that the commissioner would know all of the facts related to this case.
Mr. Byrne, what happens is your staff is recognizing the cross appeal to the court, but they're not recognizing it to my clients, and that's a problem. I want this case removed from Debbie, because it's clear that she's acting in her own self-interest and she's not following the law. Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
So I asked you a specific request. I'd like this case removed from Debbie and assigned to a different case manager.
That's just fine. We can do that.
Okay.
But I don't understand. I guess we're just going to have to agree to disagree, because I don't understand why you think that the commissioner, who's ruling on a motion that he received before we received the cross appeal notice, and then we gave him additional information saying, hey, this came in while you were reviewing this motion.
The judge needs to rule on what's in the record, and there's nothing in the record right now that the appeal has even been perfected. So what your staff is doing is they're making a record, which is a huge due process violation. And if people can just go up and tell judges things when they're ruling on it, then that compromises our system of justice, especially when they're not in the record. This is a huge problem that you just admitted to. A huge constitutional problem, because your staff is going in and telling judges things that aren't in the record.
No, we were trying to do something to assist your client.
What you could have done to assist my client was, as I asked repeatedly, is to file a notice of perfection, which is the proper procedure. Instead, your staff is going to tell the judge things ex parte, which is a huge problem, because these things aren't in the record, and it's not proper for judges to be considering things that aren't in the record.
So you're telling me that a judge shouldn't be able to review a notice of cross appeal?
Not if it's not been perfected by your staff, because that's the procedure, is that your staff sends out a notice of cross appeal. The judge shouldn't even be on notice of it, because it wasn't filed with the Court of Appeals. It was filed with the Thurston County Superior Court.
Well, I will be happy to remove Debbie from this case, and we will send out that motion from the commissioner today, which will move your case forward.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Bye.